Flock camera systems have been a national talking point, especially around security and how their data may be accessed by federal immigration agencies.
Apple Valley News Now's William Albert looked into how these cameras work and what new research shows about their use in Washington.
Flock safety license plate reader cameras are popping up on poles and intersections all over Washington, snapping photos of cars and plates every time you drive by. They're sold as a tool to help police solve crimes faster, alerting officers when a stolen car or wanted suspect rolls past a camera. But a new report from the University of Washington's Center for Human Rights, released October 21st, says those images were all accessed by federal immigration agencies, including U.S. Border Patrol. The study revealed dozens of public records requests and found that Flock data in Washington had been searched thousands of times by federal users over a few months. Phil Neff with the Center for Human Rights says they've reopened their research after seeing national reports of misuse.
They weren't covered in our previous research, so we decided to revisit the topic with a focus on flock safety, in particular in response to reporting from other parts of the country earlier this year, which raised concerns about possible access to flock camera systems by federal immigration enforcement agencies.
According to Neff's research, from May to early August, U.S. Border Patrol had access to search images collected by license plate readers used by law enforcement agencies across the state. But the audits showed thousands of searches, even in departments that never intended to share their data.
Both in agencies which had enabled one-on-one sharing of their networks with Border Patrol and in agencies which had not done so, but which had enabled a feature called National Lookup in Flock Safety, which Flock had made a statement in August that they had added Border Patrol to the pool of users that had access to that national lookup feature without informing their customers.
But local law enforcement, like Yakima Police Chief Sean Boyle, says their department has not worked with federal immigration agencies, and they insist the cameras are an asset, especially during Amber Alerts or violent crime.
That would be one thing that would trigger on the license plate reader. The Flock system would trigger that car was in our city. It obviously wasn't, but it triggers, and then the officers can go try to find the missing children in that case.
Boyle says the cameras have helped solve cases that may have otherwise gone cold.
We had robbery at gunpoint. The use of Flock was critical in helping identify a suspect who kidnapped and sexually abused a child. And I remember that case, and without that, we probably would have been very hard to be able to hold the person accountable.
Local law enforcement officials tell me that the Flock camera system has been an essential part in helping bring criminals to justice. However, recently, citizens have been voicing their concerns around privacy with data breaches from federal immigration services.
At a recent Yakima City Council meeting, former Toppenish City Council member Ezekiel Morfin raised his own concerns.
Clearly, there's a lack of oversight with this Flock system. It's being abused and it's being misused.
Oregon Senator Ron Wyden, a longtime privacy advocate, says he is not convinced by Flock's safety explanations.
And the problem is, the company then says, our privacy rules are the toughest and the strongest, and you can't penetrate them and the like. And those claims that have been made by the company are essentially worthless.
Wyden also says investigations found that some local agencies, especially in Oregon, were misled by Flock.
They say they weren't sharing their data with DHS when it was intentionally giving these federal agencies access to their cameras nationwide.
Neff says his team also found evidence of backdoor access, where Border Patrol could search networks even without department's permission, and side door access, when out-of-state police search Washington drivers on behalf of immigration agents.
And finally, there's what we called side door access, which is where agencies were apparently making searches on behalf of other agencies that were not Flock customers. And we saw that mostly with out-of-state law enforcement agencies.
And while the study found many of these searches would likely violate Washington's Keep Washington Working Act, Neff says there's little legal basis to stop them.
Automated license plate readers are currently entirely unregulated in Washington state. And although we have a state law, Keep Washington Working, which restricts certain kinds of collaboration between local law enforcement and federal immigration enforcement agencies, that doesn't explicitly cover a lot of the these kinds of data sharing.
While flock cameras can help solve crimes, officials and researchers say their public and police departments need to understand the risks. In Kennewick, William Albert, Apple Valley News Now.
William, thank you. According to the University of Washington study, 17 police departments in Washington state had their flock camera data accessed by federal agencies in some way. William will have his second installment on Watching the Watchers next Tuesday, December 2nd.